Erev Tov, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this most important evening. And I want to thank Terry Schwartz-Russell for organizing and Paul Apsel for being here, and Leon Gunther and the Makela for singing, and Rabbi Willis and Beth Whitman for helping to organize this evening. We have the booklets, and just a quick reminder, which I didn't want to forget. I also wanted to thank the Brotherhood for sending us the Yortzeit candles for Yom HaShoah. So when you get home, please light it. And each of you were given a slip of a name of someone. And I think it's powerful to add that name to your ritual of lighting them. So friends, tonight we come together to remember, Zachor, but not just that, really also to bear witness, to stand in solidarity and lift up the memories of the 6 million of our brethren who were murdered in the Shoah. And we come together this evening to say that memory matters. It's not passive, it's active. It shapes who we are, what we value, and what we must defend. The Torah commands us at the end of Parashat Ki Teitzei, Zachor. And there it's in the context of what the terrible evil that was perpetrated by Amalek does to us. And it's very interesting because it says Zachor, remember, and then of course it says also Timcheh et Zecher Amalek, wipe out the memory. How do you both remember something and wipe out the memory? Lots of different ways, again, of understanding this. I appreciated reading Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who writes, "This is a call to moral memory, to remember what happens when societies forget the vulnerable, like our people, who were at such risk, and at the same time to blot out the conditions in the world that can allow such evil to arise." And so this evening we come together, as we do each year on this most sacred night and day, to remember the trauma that our people endured, a trauma that continues to send aftershocks decades later. We all carry it through this epigenetic trauma that has been passed down from those who lived through it to our entire people. Watching the powerful and beautiful film that Paula made, watching it last night, I was kind of struck anew by the depth of the loss. So many murdered so quickly, with so few traces left behind, that each one becomes so powerful and sacred. And so this evening we cry. But the film also reminded me and all of us of this other aspect of our strength as a people. We are all survivors. We are all resistors. In a world where anti-Semitism is on the rise, where Holocaust deniers are invited into the halls of power, where leaders give Nazi salutes, we remember that our people continue to need strength. We need that strength from one another, and we gain it from one another. We find it in community, and we also find it from our non-Jewish neighbors and friends. Our remembrance, of course, doesn't end with ourselves. And I'm always struck by this every year at the Pesach Seder. Here we are on the night of our greatest joy, the liberation of our people. We stop and take some wine out of the glasses. We remember even our enemies' suffering. When the world turned its back on us, on the Jews of Europe, we learned what happens when silence reigned. We vowed never again. And I think we call that out after October 7th in a way that's a kind of renewed call, because we know that it can happen again. Maybe not on the same scale, but with a sense of terror and hate that still pervades the world. And then, of course, never again doesn't just mean our people. Never again means to anyone, everywhere, at all times. And that's why we as Jews have stood at the forefront of so many human rights movements, standing up for people in Bosnia, in Rwanda, in Darfur. Our voices echo in the halls of Congress, in refugee camps, because our history teaches us always to show up. Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel wrote, "Morally speaking, there is no limit to the concern one must feel for the suffering of human beings. That concern is not a burden. It's a sacred responsibility, rooted in our own people's experience, in our Torah, in our very identity as Jews. Our tradition elevates all human life. That was the moral vision that the Nazis tried to extinguish. And that's why we resist, and why we keep it alive, louder and clearer than ever. Today, living in a world where memory is often twisted or ignored, where Holocaust denial and distortion exist, we also live in a world where history echoes, where rights and due process are being chipped away, and we remember that. We remember how it started. The Jews of Germany in the 1930s, rights being stripped away one by one.
Recording in progress.
One restriction at a time. They were dehumanized, marginalized, turned into others. And that's why we as Jews are always paying attention to the world when similar patterns emerge, when our rights are denied, or when any people's rights are denied, when due process is threatened. Then we speak out. How the world would have been so different if others had spoken out for us before the Shoah. From the ashes of Auschwitz, our people rebuilt. Survivors, including those in this room, carried forth a torch of Jewish life, of building families, communities, and a future. Their resilience and that of their children and grandchildren are our inheritance. Their stories are our sacred texts. So tonight we honor them by remembering and by committing ourselves to living in a world where dignity is defended, where truth is upheld, and where no one is dehumanized or forgotten. May our remembrance tonight be a simple act of resistance, one that moves us and the world towards justice. And may the memories of those we honor forever be for a blessing. Let us say, Amen.